You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people-of-color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include heights, falling, death of loved ones, complex relationships, trauma, romance, and references to divine cannibalism. Arc 2, Episode 20, With Blood Afoul, from Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chong. Tiāndū Fēng, also known as the Celestial Peak, is the tallest mountain in all the City of Heaven. Its base begins somewhere beneath the Black River, and its peak surges far beyond the highest reaches of the Vermilion Library. The Celestial Peak is a dizzying column of granite, stone, ferns, and crooked, moss-dappled pines. It is so immensely tall that eventually the magic of gods strains and fizzles and weakens. And if you go high enough, like your party is intending to, even the mist eventually fades. We push in on the eastern face of Tiāndū Fēng. The wind is cold, the air is crisp. Thin strands of fog swirl around your party's marching feet as you ascend the dirt path winding up the sides of this mountain. You have been walking for hours now. Soon, the sun will set, and the dark will come, and the mist will roll in. But Xiaocheng has noted that if your party keeps up this brisk pace, you'll be able to crest the upper limit of the mist come nightfall and avoid being taken into the gourd. This, of course, is a double-edged sword. This high up, Xiaocheng's magic isn't as potent as they're used to, and the Courtier of Four Symbols is unable to fly to the summit easily, so they trek on foot, just like the rest of you. We push in now on Strike Team Nova, Xiaocheng, Goose, and Yinghe. To your right, you see the vast sprawl of the city beneath you, bathed in gathering mist and expansive courtyards and buildings and halls and palaces and canals and rivers and bridges and lakes. From this height, its sprawl appears the size of a dinner plate, though it does continue endlessly from horizon to horizon. To your left, the stone of the mountain towers endlessly into the sky, roughened by weather and pockmarked by moss. The path that you're on is narrow, only 5 or 6 gods wide, with a railing to your right made of thick, sturdy, ancient timber. Xainan and Lumièra. We find the two of you in the middle of this pack, several paces behind the Courtier of Four Symbols and Brother Goose, and several paces in front of Seir and Yinghe. So as we push in on this private moment with the two of you as you walk, who breaks the silence first?
I think Xainan, after walking for hours and hours, and like he's actually taken his hakama off to reveal that he's wearing like just pants underneath, like black simple pants, and Lumièra, you would notice at about hour 1 that he's just like and it's not that he's out of shape, it's that this is more cardio than he ever cares to do, literally ever. And the altitude is not something that he is enjoying in any way, shape, or form. And he's definitely staying closer to the stone wall than the railing. But I think as we've climbed, he's kind of gotten a little more relaxed and has started to fade to keep pace with Lumièra.
In through your nose and out through your mouth, Agent Ash. Deep breaths.
Yeah. It is very sturdying to do that.
Sturdy.
Yeah. This is not within my usual experience.
I'm sorry. You've been an agent longer than I've known. You've never come across something like this before.
Well, usually those missions are brief,
Fair
fleeting,
enough.
not long and involved multi-day, multi-week endeavors. I've mostly done short missions. And he actually stops walking and remembers, oh yes, we have to keep moving because otherwise they're going to catch up to us. And takes a long step with those long legs of his. I've been, speaking of out of sorts, wondering about, the time magic that you've been fiddling with.
Lumièra looks... She kind of looks taken aback, but it's not surprise. It's more... Oh, really? Like, it's more almost... Like, she looks like she's been challenged, almost, in a sense. And she then herself stops. I don't believe I know what you are talking about, Agent Ash. Would you like to be more clear?
The time bubbles that you keep making.
So, months. You have not spoken to me or seen me in months, and the first thing you ask me about is time and my manipulation of it.
You're right.
I know.
Yeah.
Agent Ash, I appreciate the fact that you... And she says it kind of wistfully in a chuckle. Care. But, as you can see, I am fine. More than that, actually. So. And she, like, scrunches her face like she's it's taking everything in her to not lash out.
I think Xainan lets a few paces happen. His hand following that friendly stone, cold and familiar at this point. Are you fine? Sincerely. Not about the time magic. You're right.
And Lumièra looks back at you, reminiscent of the first time you ever seen her at LSSG. She's sitting far in the back, stoic, eyes pointed directly to the front. I am as just okay as you are, Agent Ash.
Well then, and Xainan remembers standing in that room, going up to the podium with his prepared speech in his hand. And then he hears Naeem asking him to take care of her. And he hears her scream in the mist. The thing is, I know the truth. You know how okay I am.
Well, I guess that should give you some clue into me.
Work is good.
Indeed it is. Are you alright? And she motions to the hand that's wrapped from the burns you got.
It's mending.
Let me see. And she'll hold her
And-
hand out.
He holds it out. No hesitation, the same way that anytime she would come up to him in the wild sea, anytime before that moment. And he holds his hand out to her. It's the same. Underneath the bandages, it's almost completely healed. But when you pull away the wraps and you're looking for a burn, you can see the cracking old scars that have always been there, and maybe the burn is mixed into those at this point. But that's how okay he is. Cracked.
Lumièra takes a look at it and kind of brushes her thumb softly along the mottled skin. It still looks a little tender and raw.
Yeah.
And she'll reach deep into her cloak and pull out almost like a salve and ointment, soothing for burns. It helps soothe the burn and keeps from it scarring too bad.
Yeah, I would hate for it to leave a mark.
We don't always have to wear our scars on us, Agent Ash.
I do.
You don't.
I do. And those glowing green marks look directly into her eyes. The new ones. The ones that changed since Sing died.
Lumièra notices that, but she doesn't make any reference to it. She just stares. Well, who am I to tell an old man what to do?
Yeah.
She smirks.
You, and he kind of nods his head back, hoping to not gather too much attention, but just to, indicate Seir and Yinghe behind us. You're at least talking to someone, right?
Yes. And she lies through her teeth. And you can tell. You've known her long enough. Her eyes don't meet yours when she says it. But she still mimics the stoicism and confidence that she always carries herself. You don't have to worry about me, Agent Ash. I am a fighter and a survivor. You know that.
And when she says survivor, there's a mirror. That same very okay, not at all okay falseness bounces back. I know how to survive. But I think I forgot there's other things for a moment. And I'm sorry that I wasn't there when I should have been.
Lumièra blanches for a second. She was not expecting an apology. She doesn't really know what to do with that. I don't think she herself has processed all of it yet. So she just nods her head. You had your own worries and your own problems. We all did. We dealt with them in the way that we saw best for ourselves.
I wish I could say that was true. But I've spent almost a decade telling people that you are the people you're with. So I didn't take care of myself. Because I wasn't there. And
None
there's
of
a
us
truth. There's a truth that he doesn't show to anyone. That crack. And somewhere deep inside of him, a cherry blossom bud grows in the crack of a door. And he smiles. It's fake. It's false. But it isn't a smile for Sing. Not this time. He sees the young woman that just wanted to learn how to tie a tie and was so angry that she couldn't do it right. He couldn't fix that. He could just show her the way, and he's remembering all the things he's ever said and didn't quite mean. And that smile is an attempt. You are part of my team.
Thank you. It's hard to know, given my history, where I belong here.
I know where you belong.
Where's that?
Well, given that we are the 40th ranked strike team, and we have one of the best healers in all of Trans, I think that you make us better and better every day.
You don't have to blow
And
smoke,
besides,
Xainan.
I'm not blowing smoke. Naeem even said so. You're incredible at what you do. And whatever else you get up to, I know it helps us. Just be careful with it. And he looks down at your left hand.
Lumièra kind of tucks her hand closer to her body. Has never left her pocket since we started. It rarely ever does now. But she fiddles with her pocket watch in her right hand, snaps it shut. I appreciate it, Xainan. Genuinely.
You just tell me how I can help.
She doesn't say anything to that, actually.
I think he just walks on quietly.
On a swirl of gathering mist, we pull out of this conversation and push to the back of the marching order, where we see Seir. You are holding up the tail end of the pack with Yinghe a half step behind you. What are you doing in this moment of relative solace?
We've walked, I think it took only maybe the first half hour before Seir realized that this is going to be an arduous climb for Yinghe. And I think he fetches a long wooden pole from somewhere, either from closer to the Black River, heading up to the peak. And he begins fashioning it with his crescent blades into a staff for Yinghe, whose whole torso was wrecked a while back. To keep walking this, he knows better than to try to pull Yinghe away from this. And so he very quietly, solemnly in his own way, attempts to make this staff for Yinghe as they're walking up, and hands it to them. And while they're walking, Seir is acting as the bulwark. It's something that can distract his mind. He feels this whirling tempest that rages inside of him, and seeing the field, Xiaocheng, the gaze of Nova about Yinghe, it's too much. So he'll focus on what he's good at, looking out for his team, looking out for his friends, as he slows his pace, because if he were to walk at his actual pace, he's been trained by Artemis, he's done ladders probably every day as cardio, and if he were to walk normally, he would be way too far ahead to watch over his strike team. So he focuses on the back, using Xainan's back as an anchor for the pace that he should keep.
Xainan's staggering, breathless, wavering pace. Yes. Seir,
You have
before
to.
we even before we even get to you handing Yinghe the walking stick, as soon as you grab a branch off of a wayward pine and reach for the crescent blade strapped to your wrist, you hold onto the handle and you feel a hum of annoyance. It rings up your right hand and vibrates in your marrow.
What's that about? Never complained before, and attempts to go through with the staff and severs the branch to begin fashioning it. And I'm sure there's another bag of it.
As you bring the crescent blade down, that second pang of annoyance comes even louder, resonating up your skeletal structure, and you chop it a little harder than you anticipated, so you shorten the stick more than you wanted. You have to grab another branch. This one is cooked.
And Seir tosses that, reaches for another, and says, "Please, we need this to keep the pace. It is important to the mission. I don't know why you're mad." And he attempts to snap this one with a tap of the crescent blades.
It's violence that comes down this time, and a third wave of annoyance, even greater than the previous two, resonates up your arm with such ferocity that it bounces off of the branch, and the blunt back of the sickle hits you in the forehead.
All right. Message heard. Fate. By fate. And he sheathes violence. And instead, I think after the multiple rejections, Seir instead uses his own arm strength to snap it off of the branch.
Mm-hmm.
I like to imagine Yinghe has witnessed all of
yes,
this.
has
this
seen
entire...
all of this, two attempts, and now sees you just using your hands as you're snapping a walking stick into place. You hear a small voice from behind you. Seir, what's going on with you?
Oh, don't worry about it. I just awakened these blades, and I hear them, feel them. I feel them now, and they have a lot of opinions now. As he wrenches the stick away from the branch and brings the pole up to his mouth and begins to kind of like blow at it so that there's no splinters, and begins picking at it with his own hands to clear the splinters. He would use the crescent blades.
And as you start to use your own hands to clear the splinters, you feel both violence and patience start to vibrate visibly against your hips with even more annoyance that they're not being used now.
Make up your mind, he says out loud.
They seem annoyed. I understand. Sometimes the shadows feel things toward me too.
The shadows? How's
Yes.
that been, by the way, Zhao Yao? Your work?
Much better now that I was able to commune with Xainan and start to stop being the monster of Zhao Yao and now the protector of the city, of the plane itself.
That's good. That's really good. And Seir realizes that the mask is incongruent, that his body feels strange, his feelings feel strange. He feels things, but he can't name them. It's all twisted and knotted up inside him, a confusing tangle. I'm really happy to hear that. Really, and
Thank you.
it's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too. 3 things in ascending order of importance. 1, just based on what I can see about the crescent blades, I don't think they're mad about being used as a tool so much as, well, when you attacked the demon, I don't think they liked that they weren't involved.
Seir freezes for a moment, and his back to Yinghe, his eyes and pupils move wildly as he remembers that sensation biting into that demon, the course of power, fresh like a timber cold spring, and like rich as the most luxurious wine. It satiated something for a moment, but it was so fleeting. It was a release. He felt it. It felt like a release. But now it gnaws back quietly inside him, and he bites his lip. It's not like I meant to, he says, a point of vulnerability escaping his lips. It just happened. Try to remember to use you instead. Try and understand, he says to the blades, panning down towards them.
For what it's worth, you do feel that ambient annoyance start to die down when you apologize.
I don't know what came over me. And that's the truth of it. I got so angry. You got hurt.
Thank you for protecting me. I know what it's like to hurt people without meaning to be consumed by an uncontrollable destruction. I mean, you saw the way I was back in Zhao Yao. But that's neither here nor there right now. The second thing I wanted to bring up, the second most important thing is, I know you said you're glad to see me, but why not earlier? Did you not want to see me until now? I've been trying to reach you, but I couldn't. Not for 2 months after the Wild Sea, after I saw that person with the shaved head and the laurel tattoos.
Seir, I think, was absent-mindedly peeling the thick bark off of the what would be a walking staff, so that Yinghe would have a smoother surface to hold on to. And there's a moment where the bark tears in a really awkward way, and there's the loud crack. It was like, what? No. That's not the case at all. I did want to see you. I did want to see you, but I I couldn't. You didn't do anything wrong. The fault is mine. And you weren't meant to be there. That's all. I wish I could explain it more, but we're already treading dangerous territory as it is.
Oh. What did
But
the
the
leaf say?
That my teacher permits that you be here.
Are they that person I saw?
Yes.
I see. Well,
Again,
okay.
it wasn't your fault. The responsibility is mine, Ika. I brought danger to my strike team back then, and it was my guilt it was my mistake that I had to pay. It has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with our friendship. It has nothing to do with how much I wanted to see you. It's not a matter of want.
Okay. If you say so. And Yinghe says that genuinely. Like they see the truth of your words. And then their face falters a bit as they're building up the courage for something, and then it sets, and they just say, the third thing is, well, you're not acting like yourself.
Seir at this point has walked over towards Yinghe. The hem of his sash across his torso still stained with blue blood. It didn't have enough time to go and wash it out, and the stains still dot a few spots around his chest. And he hands this walking stick over to Yinghe, and their eyes meet for a moment. And Seir is laid bare in front of Yinghe. I don't know what you mean. I'm just it was just a bad situation with the demons, and ambushes
Not
aren't
that. That's not what I'm talking about. That was you. It saw the other stuff I've been seeing. I've been in your shadow for days now, maybe a week. I can kind of see both worlds, I suppose, though I can't really interact in the City of Dreams. I can just sort of see them swirling around us like ghosts. Not up here, though. There are no gods in the City of Dreams up here, but I've been watching you since I could sense you again, since I could reach you again, since you let me reach you again, and I heard what you and Xainan were talking about in the White Forge about Sing and all of that. And is she really gone?
all
Is
of the
that
hair
why you're
on
acting like
Seir.
her?
Seir pants for a moment as the realization of everything begins to unfurl out of him, but he can't do that right now. He can't do that right now. He can't feel that right now. And he internally grasps onto these tangles so dearly for life, but so clearly she sees him. You saw all that, did you?
Yes, I did, and I just want to know why you're acting like that.
For once, I wish you'd be able to see me when things are good and better, and not when things are falling apart. My sister is dead.
Oh, Seir, I'm so sorry.
No, it's... How could you have known?
I didn't. I was confused when I saw Sing wasn't with your party, and then a talk about a funeral, eulogies. I didn't
Her
want to
day,
believe,
yes.
but yes, the
Her
funeral.
day. I was the only one who attended her day, and Xainan and I got that squared away. He was very, very, very patient, and I appreciated his honesty.
It did seem like you I suppose you were close to reaching some sort of place with Xainan in that conversation, though from my perspective it ended on kind of a weird note. I mean, you started acting not like yourself by the end of it.
And Yinghe can see it. Seir playing with so many options laid before him, and the tense shoulders, the tightness he holds up on his chest and shoulders slacks. The sash falls down past his shoulder. You're right. I'm not like myself. Because there's no place for myself here. We lost Sing. The chosen one, my sister, she's everything. And that's what Nova needs right now. That's what everyone needs right now. Not ominous omens, not monstrosity that is unleashed and wreaks havoc and violence. That's not what they want from me. That's not what anyone wants. I want to continue her legacy, Yinghe. She had so many dreams, so many hopes, a whole life ahead of her. And that won't die with her. I'll pick up her fight. It's mine now. And I'll do it her way.
But is that really what your family needs, though? What about what you need? Why does honoring her memory mean having to be her? Why can't you honor her memory by being yourself? She loved you, right? She would have wanted you to be you?
And Seir remembers lying on his back in the wild sea. The words, "You are not my brother, you are my doom." And he doesn't answer. He doesn't answer for what she could possibly want. Couldn't have been the doom she wanted. It was the doom that doomed her, after all. All I know is, Yinghe, did you see Xiaocheng's face? Did you see Xiaocheng's face? Did you see that fear?
Yes, I did.
Did you see the fear on the demons? Demons ran a cowering from me. My team, barely a word about it. Running to Seir's defense again. A hurdle. A loose thread that will unravel us. No, that's not what they need. That's not what Nova needs. That's not what my friends need. You're right, though. I'm not doing a very good job, so I must be better.
No, that's not what I...
No, I think you are able to steamroll right past Yinghe, if you would like. Their protests are feeble compared to this new encouragement that's flowing through you.
Besides, nobody wants this anyway. Come. Please, don't throw yourself into danger like that. Let me hold it for you. Okay? come before the old man yells at me for holding us back.
Wordlessly, Yinghe reaches out a slightly trembling hand and takes the now done walking stick from your hands. They accept this gift with a small nod, and they lean on it to support their ribs. And as you turn and continue picking up the trail after Xainan and Lumièra and Xiaocheng and Brother Goose, Yinghe pauses for a moment at the very back of the pack, looking at your retreating back. But I want that. As all of you retreat farther up the path, with Yinghe a half step behind each of you, the mist pushes in and swirls through this scene. And when it clears, we find Strike Team Nova sitting around a warm, flickering campfire at the one of the Celestial Peak's many scenic landings. And this high up, the mist is thin, too thin to whisk your party away to the City of Dreams. You can see the sky awash in stars above your head, dazzling silver constellations swirling around a sliver of a crescent pale moon. Xiaocheng, around the campfire, is clearly feeling a lot better. The courtier of four symbols is currently gesticulating in a dramatic, engaging fashion as they recount the fable of the apotheosis of Longxie Feng. And they say, 4,000 lifetimes ago, in the bloody mist of the devouring, a peasant girl from nowhere was born. Her name was Longxie Feng, and she would change everything. And Xiaocheng flourishes their hands, and a fan appears in one wrist, and they stride from one end of the fire to the other, waving the fan in delicate and exuberant motions as they tell this story. Over the course of hundreds of years, of centuries, Longxie Feng became a legendary cultivator. She was always on the knife's edge between mundanity and divinity, but never quite gave up her status as a mortal. It wasn't until her twin sister ascended to godhood that she was driven to act. And Xiaocheng slaps the fan shut and points it at Goose. And Goose, who is their scene partner now, honks and flaps their wings. Longxie Feng's sister was a terrible god, a cannibalistic god, a hungry, hateful god of pain and suffering and death. Longxie Feng heard fate's call. And Ta answered. Ta brandished Ta the sword and drove it through the heart of Ta the own sister. And Xiaocheng leaps forward and mimics driving the fan through Goose's heart. And Goose flaps his wings and then slackens with his tongue out, pretending to die. And a triumphant Xiaocheng standing above Goose says, as her own sister's blood spilled over the ground, Longxie Feng became the first, the only god killer the sister realms have ever known, the only mortal capable of killing a god. But that wasn't the end of her tale. Oh, no. It was merely the beginning. And Xiaocheng pulls the fan back and snaps the leaf open. And on that flourish, it explodes into 1,000 strings of illusory light, bathing Xiaocheng in a dazzling array of sparkles and firecrackers. Longxie Feng soon ascended to godhood herself, claiming the title of Longdu, the Amethyst Dragon. Through force, through charisma, and through a 3,000 lifetime-long divine political campaign, Longdu united all the gods of the sister realms under a single banner. She ended the devouring and claimed the heavenly throne as the first, the only, immortal emperor of heaven. And Xiaocheng flings their arms open, and at the same time, Goose pops back up onto their feet and flings his wings open. And that is the story of the apotheosis of Lung Xiefeng. Thank you. Please. Tips, Goose, tips. And Goose waddles around with a little hat that's kind of flipped onto its side, collecting tips from the three of you.
Xainan puts a piece of food in it.
That seems to appease Goose.
Lumièra looks so confused. And when Xiaocheng is done, Lumièra just looks at them straight-faced, pointed blank, and goes, "Is there a book I can read about this that's
Which one?
sans
There
all
are
the
so many.
theatrics?"
There are romances and epics and even the dry historical accounts are nowhere near dry. You couldn't make this story boring if you tried.
I didn't say it was going to be boring. I just wanted less. And she flutters around the back of her head, like less distraction while I try to listen.
That is part of the fun.
That
Moral
is
stories.
exactly. The dramatics are part of the narrative. What's the fun of telling a story if you don't get to have a little bit of drama, a little bit of intrigue, a few twists, some tragedy, and then a triumph? Heroes.
All right. And she goes back to finger, like throughout the entire time of this, she's been like finger combing and rebraiding her hair. So she's just like, all right. And goes right back to it.
Goose waddles up to Seir.
Seir chuckles and says, leaning towards Goose, "Don't mind her. Never liked plays, even when we were kids." And hands a bit of food. I think like if we're eating, I'm assuming if we're eating a bit of rice, he kind of like hands a little handful of rice over to Goose.
Goose accepts it in the hat and then waddles back to Xiaocheng, who picks this hat up and then twists their wrists, tipping the hat onto their shoulders, and it disappears behind their neck. Why, thank you, Brother Goose. Whew. And as Xiaocheng settles back down beside the fire, you see that their orange eyes are aglow from the flames, and they seem to be reinvigorated by the ability to entertain. That's what they are built for. They're a courtier, they're a political maneuverer, they live to make everyone happy. And as they settle down with a flush beneath their orange eyes, I'm going to give you all your crew theme improvement, which is a brand new crew power tag called Favored Cultivators. So note that down on your sheets. What this means is you have the allyship of Xiaocheng, the courtier for symbols, and of the Emperor herself by your side. As the City of Heaven's favored cultivators, you may pull on these bonds to strengthen your quest. And now, as the night breeze of the mountain swirls around your party and gives your weary bodies a chance to rest, I want to know, do any of you step forward to share a story around the campfire? Plus or minus theatrics.
I think after a while, Xainan would kind of let the excitement die down. But looking into the fire and chewing on the memory of many nights like this, he finally nods. I used to tell stories like that. Not as grand as yours, Xiaocheng.
Oh, please. We all have our own style and flair. Regale us.
Oh. It's been a long time since I've told a story around a hearth like this. But
Come on, old man.
I could give it a go.
Honk,
Uh,
honk.
You see, where I'm from, the nights are long, and we couldn't always have a nice fire like this. It was dangerous. So, before we learned to catch fireflies, we used to sit in the dark. But, you know, there's a story. It was during the day, there was a child named Kiko who learned to throw stones. You know, you draw the little circles in the dirt and you find a nice river stone, not too big, not too small, and you see how close you can get it to the center. And they didn't want to stop at night, so when the family went out to go and guard the field, they left Kiko alone, and they wanted to keep playing stones. And so Kiko decided that they were going to go light a fire. They knew it was dangerous, but they thought they could light a small one. So Kiko went out into the field looking for just a little bit of timber. And as they walked, fireflies began to rise up in the grass and light the way. And Kiko laughed and played with them. They danced around and blended with the stars above. And, well, they found, thanks to the light of the fireflies, a piece of wood. Hollow, small, good enough for a little secret lantern. Next, they needed kindling, so they went and they found a mulch pile. And there they found a bunch of freshly hatched fireflies deep within the mulch, like candles in a lantern. If only they could invite the fireflies to come throw stones, then they could play all night. And wouldn't even need a fire, so they looked down into the mulch well and scooped very carefully the brightest bit of fireflies that they could find in the mulch and gently put it in the log. And the fireflies stayed. And as Kiko walked back to where their folk had set up for the evening, the fireflies stayed in the log. In fact, the fireflies in the field followed the log as well. And Kiko played and played, and the fireflies stayed until they went to sleep and woke up thinking it was morning, time to get up and do the little bit of the work that there is to do during the day. And they looked around, and the log was the only light around. The sun was not back yet. And all the fireflies in the field had gathered on the log, because you see, Kiko had gathered the most beautiful and brightest of all the fireflies. And Kiko showed her folk, who showed others. And the nights got a lot brighter. And as he tells the story, Xainan stares into the fire. His hands worry at the little bits of fabric that he uses to wrap his hands. And he holds close a memory of a smiling face that listened eagerly until its eyes closed.
That's a beautiful story, Xainan. Thank you for sharing it.
You're welcome. It's very old. Hope I didn't bore anyone.
No, it feels folkloric. I love it. The warmth of community. Oh, it reminds me of stories that people on Yalan tell.
I think I have one. If we're sharing.
Please, Lumièra. I'd love to hear a scholar's perspective.
I don't know if this memory was exactly scholarly or not. But I've known my friend here, and Lumièra nods in Seir's direction.
Oh god, I think I know where this is going.
Since I was 8, and it's safe to say we didn't always work on a team like this together. Once we were just friends who wanted to explore be better, greater than what we are. And Seir, you notice instantly that Lumièra is not mentioning the third in this story. Because it wasn't just you and me. It was you, me, and her. But
And Seir's
acknowledging that part is a bit more than she can do right now.
And Seir sees it, that pain in your eyes. He's always been so fixated on them, your eyes. How they tell a million tales, depths of feelings, boundless, formless. And he sees it, the pain, and his joyous, playful gaze turns now focused and hardened like a blade, paying attention to your every movement and word.
And she kind of ties her hair up. She's finished retwisting it now, but even in the moonlight, if you look close enough, her neck and shoulders are mottled with deep purple and blue bite marks and bruises that go all along her neck and shoulders. But she doesn't really notice or acknowledge them, so she keeps going. There was, one night we had finished class a little bit early, and we were bored. We wanted something to do, so we devised a plan. When our caretaker and everyone else had went to sleep for the night, we would explore the basement of our school, try to find a way outside. And we thought we were so smart. I found schematics, and we had such a silent plan. We had packed. We were ready for weeks, waiting for the perfect time, and that time came. And giggling the entire time. I don't know how we didn't get caught. We just ran. Navigated through backways and tunnels, and right as we were getting to that door, right as we were outside, we made a beeline for it. And as soon as we opened the door, who was standing right there? Our caretaker. And she was not happy at all. But also,
Can't avoid a hunter like that.
I know that now. But she wasn't happy, but you could tell she was slightly proud. Proud of our initiative, proud of our planning, proud of our wherewithal. That was... We never tried again after that, but it was good to know that we had someone, that even though we didn't know they were looking out for us, they were. That's mine. And she just shrugs.
That's a beautiful story as well. I never went to school. I wish I had.
It's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not for everyone. I loved it. Others, not so much.
Yinghe says, "Do you mean Seir?"
Huh? Seir was distracted by the purple marks on Lumièra's neck. It unearths something within the tangle that exists in his chest, indiscernible. And as he fixates on it, attempting an answer to whatever this pull is, this sinking feeling, he's pulled back, grounded by Yinghe's voice. Huh?
I was just saying, and there's a moment as Yinghe watches Seir watching Lumièra, and their eyes dart downward at the campfire, and when they look back up, they say, I was just saying I have a story to share as well.
Oh.
It's a short one. This is back home. Before I became the chosen of Xainan. There was one person in Zhaoyao who wasn't scared of me. An old woman. Very kind. Every week she would come up to the temple and she would leave some food on the steps. Not for the dead god. For me. Because I think she was worried about me. Wanted me to be okay. And I was scared I would hurt her, so I never came out, but I watched from the shadows as she knelt by the stairs and left the food every week. She did that for over 100 weeks. And I built up the courage one day to come out and thank her. I wanted to thank her for feeding me, for being kind to me. But that was the week she didn't come. And I heard from Zhaoyao that she had passed. The end.
Sorry to hear that.
Me too. I wish I told her thank you earlier. It is one of my deepest regrets.
Lumièra swallows audibly at that.
Xainan looks up to the stars. Then back to Yinghe. It's never too late to just say it.
And Seir nods. The light of the crescent moon reflected in his blue eyes as he leans closer towards Yinghe. I sometimes voice my own feelings to the stars. And if it comforts you at all, I think maybe she knew.
I hope so. But, just in case, and Yinghe lifts their eyes up to the dazzling spill of stars surrounding that crescent moon. Thank you, Lala. Thank you. Okay, I'm done. Who's next? Seir or Goose? Goose ruffles his feathers and looks at you, Seir, as though he can understand what's happening. Almost like he's asking, do you want to go or should I go?
Seir looks at Goose for a moment, and I think he's brought back grounded in this reality for a moment, and he feels a little like something's missing. Like someone's missing. She would have loved this. And he just so desperately wants to feel her again. And so he says, I've got one. I'll admit I'm not very good at stories. That's usually her deal. Let's see. And he hesitates for a moment and plays against the stubble of his face. There were once two young kids, twins, mirrored and alike, but where one smiled brilliantly like the sun's light, the other a little quieter, like the moon. They had a caretaker, a teacher, a great huntress. And one day, the huntress thought, it is time for them to learn, to enter the woods, to track, to learn, to observe with eyes focused, and to hear without needing to be distracted. And they followed, of course, this great huntress. It was just the three of them amidst the brush, the trees. You could hear the sounds of the bugs, the birds. Everything was here and now. And they hunted together, observing deer settled in quietly by the river's edge, observing a large bear in a standoff with a wolf. And as they begin to move and path away, observing all these beasts in their habitats, the younger twin sees something amidst the trees, a shape inexplicable. And Seir looks surprised at the moment as he retells this tale, as if uncertain that how he's remembered this. There was something in the trees, tall and dark, deep fur, very, very large sprawling antlers. It hid in the shadow, and he wanted to creep closer, stepping forward, but he felt the hand of his sibling touching at his waist. And then a hush from the great huntress herself as they lower themselves to the height of the little ones. That is not for us, she says. That one's older, more ancient. A hunter knows when to pursue and when to relent to one that is greater. And so the Grand Huntress takes the hands of the two little ones and takes them by the river, further and further away from this thing. But the youngest wanted to look one more time, and he sees blue. But he hears the joyous laughter of his little sibling as a splash of cold water rains past his face, and the approving look of a teacher who has seen these two bloom to hunters themselves. I suppose that's the end. I believe they just head back. I think that's an end of a story.
It's getting there.
How lovely! I love these different palettes of expression from all of you. Do you feel scared when you saw that large antlered beast?
Seir freezes. I don't know. And he says quieter. Well, and he says quieter for a moment, only loud enough for Yinghe to hear. I don't know how I feel. And hearing Xainan's question, I suppose, either way, it was a long time ago. Probably just a great elk. The huntress always favored great elks.
They're
Well, elks are sacred beasts.
and delicious.
I wouldn't know. I don't eat elk.
Yeah.
I don't eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really eat food.
That makes sense.
You should try it sometime, Xiaocheng. It's quite delicious. Cooked right, it can be tender.
Honk! Honk honk!
And cooking is another expression just like these stories.
Precisely! Though I wouldn't know, I've never cooked either. I have been in the divine kitchens of the City of Heaven, however, and the smells are so fragrant.
I am
Honk,
good
honk,
at many things,
honk.
but cooking is not one of them.
That actually doesn't surprise me, Lumièra.
Lumièra looks like... Excuse you?
Seir chokes on a bite of rice as he's avoiding Xainan's gaze, and just a handful of rice is stuck in his throat as he chokes.
Lumièra
I didn't
does
mean
all
to-
right.
Mm.
Don't let her undersell herself.
If you say so, Xainan.
You just hear a
Ooh, I've seen it.
like a huff under Lumièra's breath. She's
Honk, honk,
Uh,
honk, honk, honk,
Yes, Goose.
yes, Goose.
I will not cook you. I promise.
honk, honk, honk,
Do you have a story, Goose?
honk, honk,
You're gonna tell a story, Goose.
honk,
I'm listening. That'll be a
Honk,
first.
You were
for
gonna
me.
tell a story.
honk,
You alright?
honk, honk. Honk, honk, honk. Honk, 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 honk.
Huh.
Honk, 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 honk. Honk, honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, honk, honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, 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 honk.
Whoa, really?
Honk,
Mm.
honk, 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 honk.
And then what happened?
Honk, honk, honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, honk. Honk, honk, honk.
Are you two hearing anything else other than honks? Is it just me?
Lumièra has silent tears streaming down her face as she is trying so hard not to burst out laughing. Like, she's wheezing at this point. She's trying so hard not to cry.
I mean, I don't speak Goose, but I did understand that. This is a riveting story. I mean, you're lucky, honestly.
Honk.
And Goose waddles over to you and pecks your shoe, pecks your shin.
Peck, peck, peck.
Me?
Goose, be nice.
Over to Xainan, no, to Xainan for what
Xainan, yeah.
Xainan said.
Yeah.
What was that, Lumièra?
I don't even remember. I'm crying.
I did my best. I'm sorry.
Honk. Honk, honk.
And Honk waddles despondently back to their place and squats down by the fire.
Thank you for
Your
the
pronoun
story,
just
Brother
dropped.
Goose.
Wait, did I say honk?
You did!
Yes, you did.
Honk honks! Oh my god. Yes, Goose.
Not the new
Goose pronouns.
Honk
The
and
neo-pronouns.
Iconic.
I love this.
I literally have tears.
Xiaocheng brings an arm out and like pulls Goose in and pulls on their feathers gently, strokes Honk's down, and make sure that Honk is okay. And Honk seems to take takes a little bit of comfort in this and leans against Xiaocheng's arm. Well, though our friendship was unexpected, Goose, it is most welcome. And I promise you, even after we get the gods back, I won't let them cook you. Okay? So you have nothing to worry about.
So I did understand. What's your problem?
Honk, 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 honk. And you're very welcome, Goose. I have no idea what he's saying.
You're the most talkative goose I've ever met.
Oh, I could
Honk,
introduce you
honk.
to some other birds.
Honk.
They're not here. You are the best goose in the city of heaven.
Honk, honk.
Goose is the only goose in the city of heaven.
Honk, honk. I think it's on this that we push in on the sparks spitting off the top of this campfire. We follow them all the way up to this darkened ceiling of heaven, into this sky awash with stars. And all of you get to remove 2 tiers off of any status of your choice for spending
God.
some time by the fire and telling stories.
Haunted by death. Haunted, whatever it's called. Marked for death.
Haunted.
Haunted.
Marked for death. Yeah, that's
What-
a good one to
oh,
take tiers
Actually,
off of.
no, haunted. I have haunted
Yes.
3. I'm gonna knock them. You're not gonna catch me slipping. I'm gonna knock down. I'm gonna knock that one down by 2. So I'm only at haunted 1 now, and I
Excellent.
am not so close to death anymore.
What about
Wait,
Xainan?
Haunted 2. Haunted 2 now. Instead of
Oh,
Haunted
nice. It was at 4. Okay, that's good.
It's now no longer my highest one, which I'm still concerned about.
Oh, jeez. What about Seir?
We're keeping heartbroken. But I will reduce curse
Do you have to mention that
and mark
every
for
time?
death. Yes. It is relevant.
Excellent. So all of you spend about an hour, maybe 2, by the fire, and that's when Goose starts to waddle off, and Xiaocheng suggests that all of you continue the trek upward. Goose seems quite anxious to get to the top of the peak, just like all of you. And as all of you start packing up camp and hiking on your boots again and getting ready for the trek ahead, the night that surrounds you is dark, but also bright, with stars and moonlight illuminating any lingering shadows. Yinghe is a helpful companion insofar as navigating darkened passageways between cliff faces, some so narrow that you have to shimmy across with your backs pressed against the stone. And at the very front of the group, Xiaocheng hums a tune, leading the way. The air up here is clear, clearer even than in the empty city of heaven, and it empowers every single step that Strike Team Nova takes. And by the time dawn breaks, you have reached the crest of the mountain, the base of the shrine that houses the great sage. And we're gonna end the session there. So thank you all so much for tuning in to the session. I have been your game master and creative producer, Connie Chong, pronounced they, he, and she. And I'm gonna pass along my introductions to Valiant Dorian.
Hello, everybody. I am Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all on the internet at Valiant Dorian and also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure hunt to set you on. And tonight I had the distinct pleasure of playing Seir, our tangled up, emotionally repressed man who uses he, they pronouns. And speaking of emotional repression, I'm handing it over to the king of that.
Hey.
Kai?
Doing great.
You're not lying, friend. You're not lying at all.
Hi everyone, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me all over the internet as the Style of Imladris, where I continue to commit this kind of crime everywhere. You can't stop me. I've had such a delightful time playing Mr. Xainan-ish, who will be back committing more crimes in a week. Sam?
Well, it's your favorite top, everyone. Hi, I am Sam Star. That was for Sam and Lumièra. Nice to meet ya. I'm here, being queer as usual. This was so much fun. Connie, I don't think I've laughed this hard in a session in so long. You can find me all across the interwebs at Lust for Life X, LUSTTFORLIFEX, where you can, go there and see other gay shit that I do. Cause it's never not gay. What's going on, boss? Take us home.
Not much is going on. Just the end of the session. Follow everyone. I don't know what accent I was going for. I don't know. Follow everyone here on various social medias. There's a reason I don't do accents. We have a very special session next week. It's our guest session with Erika Ishii. That's right. The great what? Well, it's. Who are they going to play? Who knows? I almost gave it away, but I think it's pretty obvious. So join us next Saturday, March 23rd at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, right here on Twitch or YouTube at Transplanar RPG. That's a planar with 2 A's. There's no E in Transplanar. Planar with 2 A's. Or on my TikTok at by Connie Chong, BYCONNIECHANG, right here, right now. Mark your calendars. Tell your friends about it. It's gonna be an awesome time. I said we were gonna create new Asian diasporic genders or something. We created Goose genders. So what's next? Who knows? I'm really excited for it. In the meantime, if you're on Twitch, hang out for the raid. Put the raid message in the chat of whoever we're gonna raid. We're gonna raid someone really awesome right now, no doubt. Tell them Transplanar sent you. Tell them about this chaotic goose-filled session. And with that, see you next Saturday. Pledge to our Patreon, join our Discord. These are 2 great ways to support us. We love you all so much. See you next week, Saturday 23rd, 8 p.m. USC time. Be show.